Welcome to Oregon Voters Digest, the program that brings forward the social and political issues that are important to people living here in the Pacific Northwest. And now, your host, Bruce Broussard.
Welcome again to this segment of the Oregon Voters Digest. I'm Bruce Broussard, your host, and by George, we're right into the election piece, folks. You're going to be getting your ballots. Some of you have already gotten your ballots by now. If not, they will be arriving shortly, and then after that, you'll be getting your voters pamphlet. So the whole idea is that we're right in the midst of it, and there's going to be all sorts of campaigning by the various folks who are running for office, looking for that leadership aspect of it. But you'll be bombarded with that piece, and so what we're going to be doing for the next 3 weeks or so, and along this line, we're going to try to educate you, inform you, and educate you as to what we, with all due respect, what you should be looking for. And stay focused, if you will, on the issues. Candidates should be talking about the issues and solutions. Those are the two. Most cases, in all due respect, the way we're set up and within our society, you can either be in one of two positions. Either you're in the position that you can purchase the seat, buy the seat, or if not that, you can just sit there and run. But you can learn something because you can at least voice your opinions about whatever. So what we're going to do, we're going to start off with and we're going to get two guys that are going to be with me on an ongoing basis. These guys have already been involved with the issues and solutions, big time. They've run for office, and I think you'll like this. From a statewide perspective, I've got John Sweeney on with me right now. John ran for governor this last time around. He had I think it was the district, educational district.
Yeah,
it was educational district. He sat in that particular seat, and then from that point on, he's just been basically dealing with the issues. He's been a lifetime Democrat. He's been a Democrat, but again, a conservative Democrat in many ways. But the bottom line is that he's very familiar with the issues throughout the state of Oregon, but more specifically in the Portland metropolitan area and Multnomah County, which is a very, very key point in this in our election aspect of it, because it is the principal city within our state, okay? And then on the second half hour, we got another comparable military kind of a person. You've seen him many times over. He's ran for mayor, if you will, and he's been very, very much involved with the issues. His name is James Posey. He's been here for a number of years, and again, I think it was in the Air Force. Was it the Air Force? Or was it, boy, I think it was one of them. No, it wasn't the Cub Scout. No, okay, it was the Air Force. I'm sorry. I had to bring that piece up big time. But anyway, but the bottom line is that James is he can articulate what the issues are, but he also has been able to articulate the solutions. But too often, both of these guys, they may talk about solutions, but in all due respect, they're not in the position of, nor would they want to be in the position of buying something, buying their particular slots. They basically went out there and understood what the issues are. So it's a very, very important piece. So James Posey is going to be here on the second half hour, and then we're going to do that. And then the following week, you're going to probably see this show again. And then after that, all of the so-called endorsements of candidates, endorsements of ballot measures and whatever will all be out. And then I'll have these guys on again, and then we'll basically ask them and have a discussion as to what they feel are the issues again, to educate you. Very, very important. Okay, good. All right, there it goes. That's enough said now. Now let's bring in John Sweeney. John, why don't we just focus right now with the material? The governor's race was huge. I mean, I guess they've got national attention on the whole issue of the governor's race, and naturally we got one person that's basically running within our area. Of the three women that are running, Tina Kotek, yeah, that's basically running, and sometimes some people talk to it from the standpoint of the swamp, right? You got me? Yeah. But no due respect, it's the major city. It is the dining room, if you will, of this state aspect of it, and this is where all of the major issues come, and that's a major concern in terms of whether or not we're going to be able to deal with the issues. But naturally, we got a rural person running, and then that's Christine. Yep. And she's out there running, and that's an interesting piece. And then you got Betsy Johnson, right?
Right.
Betsy Johnson. Betsy, who was a Democrat for a long time, she was a senator right there on the coast, and so she's a very interesting one. But she's been around for quite some time. Yeah. And then naturally, Tina Kotek has been around for quite some time. Yeah. She was the chair, folks, the chair of the representative, right?
Yeah, she was the Speaker of the House.
Speaker of the House. She was Speaker of the House. Speaker of the House aspect of it, and so that's a very interesting piece. But you got three women that are running. It's a very interesting background. So let's see what your call is. What do you think? Let's talk about that.
It is real interesting, and they're making a big deal about three women, and it's going to be we're going to have another woman governor. And the thing is that all three of them were in office that resigned their seats to run for office. So they could just as well stayed in office and been running with that base.
What about seniority? You got three of them. Let's see. Betsy's been there longest.
I think so, yeah.
Then Tina, right?
She's from Scappoose.
She's from Scappoose, and Tina.
And Tina's from Portland, and that's where her real base is.
And then Christina, she just, well, was that her first time around as state rep?
Who's that?
As far as Christine was concerned. How many terms did she serve?
No, Christine, I think has been 2 or 3.
But not the men. But I'm saying she would be the junior.
She'd be the junior, and she's from Canby right now.
Canby.
Raised in Klamath Falls or something like that.
Okay.
And so we have 2 women from the outside, and one from the metro area, and Tina Kochek, her base is in Portland, and
what about party affiliations?
And she's a Democrat, and Christine Drayson is
Republican.
Is a Republican, and got some good endorsements.
And then Betsy.
And Betsy's got some good endorsements.
She's an independent.
And she's running as unassigned, because they do have an independent party in the state. Okay. But she's running as unassigned or something.
Okay.
And
so basically, the Green Party. I mean, she's basically all within that.
Right.
They're saying that there's about 1 million votes that are sitting out there, folks that are basically identified as independents.
Yeah, those unassigned, which were just put on a voter's roll, not attached to a party. Actually, they outnumber all the Democrats or Republicans. So this motor voter thing is what they called it, is the real big unknown. Now, some of the polls have come up asking those people, and they're kind of leaning towards Betsy Johnson, which is a surprise. And
well, where'd you get that poll?
Well,
it's my understanding the poll is that she's number 3.
Yeah, well, let me tell you about polling. Back in the early '60s, I got a job doing a polling on radio listenership. So I went around in the Portland area in several different places and talking to the people that are running the thing, and they says, hey, the political polling is easy. You look at your customer, and if they're a Democrat, they know where to get the Democratic answer. If you're a Republican, they know where to get the Democratic answer. Unless they're doing a polling for a newspaper that's supposed to be unbiased, they know how to get the answer that the customer wants.
But that's the standard, though. From the layperson standpoint, the majority of the public are not as familiar with the politics, if you will,
that
true, we are familiar with.
But that's what they need to know.
But they need to know that. But the understanding of I asked you that question in terms of what was the ranking. The latest ranking that I saw.
Latest ranking.
Betsy was last.
It was.
Christine was first.
Drayson, Kochek, and Johnson.
Yes, right. That's where they were at that point in time.
There's getting some nervousness among some people that may have been going for Johnson that are leaning towards Drayson. So
I've always thought when she did that, by point, she was a Democrat. She was a long time Democrat. And she basically, again, like I said, she jumped in the independent piece. We had that. But what if she had basically went on and said, okay, fine, I'm going to get out of the Democratic Party and went to the Republican Party? Would that have been an issue then? She had more experience, right? So consequently, what I'm looking at, a lot of folks that I've talked with, said, had she been a Republican, then and they would have basically worked the deal out between her and Drayson, and then there would have been one Republican, one Democrat. And so
True.
Then there would really be a major fight, right?
Yeah. Well, Johnson said a long time ago that she was going to run unaffiliated, and that was the rumor, and then she went that way.
Why did she run as a Democrat?
Well, you have to go against the machine and see. In
What's the machine? Who's the machine?
Well, the Democratic Party. Now, I'm a lifelong, gun-loving, conservative Democrat, but the thing is, the Democratic Party is infested with Democratic socialists.
Who are
And
those?
when-
Who are those folks?
Well, the Democratic socialists do not believe in the private ownership of property. So the fact that you would actually be able to buy your own home would go out the window. And the same as if you're running a business, you would not be able to buy the property. So you know, like in England, you have the high elite have their estates, but the masses, which would be us, would live in cradle to the grave in a rented flat.
Okay, okay.
And so that's the thing is that, but so that's something that the people have to remind themselves of or become aware of, is that the Democratic Socialists is really infested the Democratic Party.
Okay, all right, let's talk about money now. I mean, all due respect, from the layperson, the person who's looking, when they look at these candidates who are running for office nowadays, in most cases, what they're left with people buying those seats, right? The interest. In most cases, they identify them as business folks, right? The folks on that side of the world aspect of it. And in this particular case here, you know, each of these individuals have spent over $10 million apiece, right?
And it wasn't their money either.
No, but my point is that, you know, that's
yeah.
well, we went through this same situation here at the city of Portland for the mayorship aspect of it. You had an unknown guy that came in with no resume, and he basically bought it. Now he's OJTing on the job training, and I'm not knocking it. I'm not knocking it to a certain degree, but I've always maintained that since the time I've been messing around this stuff, you have to have some sort of a resume, because we got problems. But anyway, let's talk about how much money is being spent. I think we're going to be looking at $50 million spent on this race this time around. We're sitting at right now about 35 million.
47 million. It was said the other day, and I'm glad I was sitting down when I read that. $47 million.
But then the majority of the people still voted on the whole issue, especially here in the city of Portland. I happen to know the group aspect of it, to try to cap that stuff. You got me? To try to cap that. Remember that? Remember that piece? They had a group, and they was pushing that piece, but it didn't go through the legislature. Kotek cut it off.
Oh yeah, the deal is she's looking for running for governor. The deal is you want to jump on a horse, get ready to race, then shoot the horse, and you know she's not going to do that.
Well, in all due respect, she's the first she was the first elected chairperson who was a gay person, right?
Yeah.
She was gay, and gays are pretty prosperous around the country, right? And I was thinking about, I was looking at some of the contributors of a race, and boy, they weren't just from Northeast Portland.
No, and this is really a big hope for them, because you're going from straight people to the president governor who's bisexual, and then they want to go for one. It's
But
gay.
people can do whatever you want. The fact of the matter is, are they identifying with the issues and the solutions to those issues? That's the key.
no,
Whatever your affiliation is from a personal standpoint, that's your business.
Yeah.
But because I'm a taxpayer, not like the other folks out there, they're interested in one thing: how are you going to solve my problem? Food on the table type routine. All the crime that's running around you, the homelessness. That's basically what people want to hear. I understand those are the top issues that are of concern. But in all due respect, John, and I'm going to throw this out to you, I've not heard any solutions yet. Talk to me. What do you think about that?
The Supreme Court decision on the Roe v. Wade thing is drawn a lot of attention to.
What does that mean? Roe v. We're talking to the layperson. Are
Okay.
you talking about the abortion issue?
The abortion issue,
Okay.
Pro and con. So the
Okay.
thing is that, and you've got the extremists that are really fighting for and against that thing. So a lot of the core issues about our day-to-day lives, the economics, is slid off the table, because when you look at it, the gun control and abortion issue crosses all socioeconomic strata. So the fact that they say, well, the Republicans are pro-life and pro-gun, and the Democrats are pro-choice and anti-gun. Well, that's not true, because the deal is you have staunch Republicans that might be pro-life, but they would be anti-gun, and then you have Democrats who are pro-choice and pro-gun. So the thing is, just because somebody has
Democrats are pro-gun? I thought it was the Republicans.
You know that. No, I'm a lifelong
What?
gun
No.
loving.
Let's be straight now.
Yeah.
I understand that. Now, the whole issue with the abortion piece aspect of it,
Yeah.
it's a woman's deal, right? I mean, hey, that's their deal. That's their lane, so to speak. On the gun side of it, it's guys like you.
Well, they had a real interesting deal about two Novembers ago, and it says worldwide contraception would cost $5 billion, but it would save $80 billion.
Yeah, but you're talking about women. Let's talk about the women. It's a woman's right, right? Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, but still, because of unwanted pregnancies have disrupted the futures for women and young men too, because they had to change their plans because of an unwanted pregnancy. Because not all guys walked away, and so
Well, they're not having the babies, are they? Are they having the babies?
no.
Oh, okay.
And these people
I just
out
wanna
there
get
saying
straight.
men can get pregnant are crazy.
Yeah. Well, I think, due respect, I mean, it is a woman's right as far as her own body aspect of it. But, the fact of the matter is that in terms of where we are right now with this anti-deal, and a lot of women are basically saying that I want to abort, if you will.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is, as time goes, the way things go, as far as I'm concerned, the older they get, the older women, they start thinking about that. So that's up to them. That's their decisions to make along that line.
And the thing is, generally you figure, women over 40 don't have babies, but the thing is, there's a few of them that are having children well beyond, and in fact, they've done some.
But it's a woman's right.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
good.
Yeah,
Now let's talk about the gun shooting. Guys like you.
Yeah.
Guys like you. I mean, it's a male thing, right?
Yeah.
Normally it's a sports thing, right? In fact, my dad had a shotgun, but he basically used it to basically go out there and put food on the table. That's a male. It wasn't my mom going out there basically hunting and fishing and stuff. It was and then naturally he'd bring the stuff at the table, and mom would do a lot of she'd cook it up, right? That's basically the fun. So it's a male thing.
Well, it's really smart for a guy if he's got a lady in his life is to take her shooting. See, and the fact is,
Wait a minute. No.
Oh, yeah.
Who's gonna do the cooking? Men don't know how to cook.
that's a fact. At least in my case, yeah.
Well, I came from, I'm an old country boy. I know how to cook, but my wife does all the cooking.
Yeah.
Okay, and I cook too. But anyway, let's talk about that. Let's talk about the whole issue with the gun situation aspect of it. Just recently, I guess a 15-year-older, I think up in Carolina, just recently, a couple of days ago, basically went out there and killed some folks, right? And I think it was 5 of them were being shown. It was kind of interesting. One was a former cop, off-duty cop, but he was wearing his Marine Corps military uniform.
Mhm.
He was shot.
Yeah.
Okay, and then there was a black woman that was there, part of that group,
Mhm.
and then there were 3 other women, mother and all. And it was some pretty heavy stuff. 15-year-old with an AR-15, and we're talking about this issue right now.
Yeah.
What in the world? And how did he get that AR-15?
Well, probably part of the family selection of firearms, and he was able to get his hands on it.
But I thought we had laws that said you had to have lockers. I mean,
Not every place. Not
so,
every place.
So who should be going to jail? They should pick up the family at the same time, right?
Well, the
Especially the male.
okay, it could be the fact that the father has some input into that, and it's factly poor parenting that would let his
But it's the male in most cases.
yeah.
Okay.
Now,
What happened?
I'd like to bring up a point on
Okay,
concealed
all right.
handgun licenses. 1 out of 4 nationwide is owned by a woman. In fact, in Oregon at one time, 1 out of 3 belonged to a
Yeah,
woman.
but the males got all the AR-15s.
No, that's not true, because
Who got most of the AR-15s?
if you watch
That's the rifle we're talking about, folks.
Yeah, if you watch channel 722 on Wednesday night, called Wednesday Night at the Range, from about 4 o'clock on, there's a lot of women out there shooting AR-15s and AK-47s.
Are you saying to me that women are now basically the leading force behind the weapon? I thought it was defined by the male.
No, because see, the deal is with the AR-15. AR-15 does not kick as much as like when we went in with M1s and
Yeah,
M14.
but why use but that's sportsman. Going on the range and just firing weapons. You know what I mean? You can keep them there. And look, bring me out a bazooka. I'd like to shoot a round of a bazooka, or a tank sitting out there or something, and doing it that way. But that's a controlled environment. But actually having a bazooka at home and, and
You need a special license for a
a
bazooka.
special license.
Yeah, the BATFE has, under the National Firearms Act of 1934, included destructive devices and for selective firearms and full automatic firearms and suppressors and a few other things, so that you would, they started it with a $200 tax, and they have not raised the $200 tax. And
Where I come from, I mean, you can go in the street of L.A. Or New York, and you can buy any weapon you want, almost a tank, on the street.
well, that's true, but it's illegal.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
It's illegal, but it's there.
that's right.
How do you cut that off?
You have to understand that the criminals with their money and influence could get anybody or anything that they want.
Yeah, but who buys the weapon to begin with?
Usually the wrong people buy it.
No, wait, John. Who can go in this store? You just said to me that the straight guy can go in there and buy the weapon, takes it home, forget putting in the locker. There's a burglary. But the other guy is saying, well, look, I'll be able to make me a couple of bucks so I can put food on the table or whatever. And he's got the weapon. And then he sells it to someone else. You don't need a license to go and get it. You don't need a license to buy something off the street. You know that.
In Oregon, you need to do a background check on all sales except through close family members.
Okay.
So and I know you as really a good guy, see, but if you want to buy one of my toys, or I want to buy one of your toys,
Well, I don't have toys. I had toys when I was in the Marine Corps, and I respect the weapons better, but I don't need no assault weapon in my home.
12 gauge works real good. Actually, any shotgun works real well close up.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Then people just don't get killed. You may have to take a few pellets out of you, whatever. I mean, I remember that happened to me on boot camp and with that. But
Yeah. Well, the deal is for home defense, the shotgun works real well with the smaller pellets like birdshot and stuff.
Okay.
'Cause you got lots of power up close, but not at any distance. So
Okay.
your chances of getting.
well, we're spending enough
some
time on
people-
that. We got about 5 more minutes. I want to make sure we hit a couple other little pieces there. We talked about the money aspect of it, and hey, it's one's right. People make money. You can spend it however you want it to. However, what do you think about capping that deal? A limitation in terms of how much you can basically give a person.
I think that's a good idea
Good idea. Well, right up front with you.
because
Nike-
money is not speech.
Right, but the bottom line is that we are in that arena. There's a lot of billionaires running out right now, and Phil Knight, who's been a true Oregonian for a long time, he's got Nike. He's been there for a number of years, but the bottom line is that he gave up about $3 million, 3.5 million to Betsy.
I have
Johnson?
no idea. It's been. I think he made more than one donation.
Yeah,
so
right.
it's-
But I think it was told about. I saw I think 3.5 million right up to date, and we'll probably be giving more.
and he's got a few more days.
And you got Christian. He gave her $1 million. So he gave $1 million to the independent candidate, and 3.5 million to the to the Republican. No. 1 million to the Republican and 3.5 to the independent Betsy Johnson, and Christine got the 1 million.
Okay. Well, one
Balanced it off a little bit, yeah.
Yeah,
And she's kind of gotten up a bit.
Now,
And she got
if you look at the final reports, you find some people they're giving money to both sides.
but those are the only millionaires that I know.
Yeah.
Or billionaires that I know that have basically just publicly said, hey, I'm giving the money to the folks. Now the others are just kind of maybe hiding it through this, that, and the other, but they got 10, 12, 15 million dollars each, right?
Yeah. Well, at least I got to give them credit for giving to the best two of the three.
Yeah. I noticed also too that in Christine campaign, I noticed that it was said that she supported the Biden, the fact that Biden was the president, and that the elections were fair. Did you see that?
Yeah, I think I did. So
I was a little concerned about the fact that when I remember that when the president's candidate that Willie Horton. I mean, I don't know who was that doing the Willie Horton deal. Basically, used a black guy in their campaign to kind of like say again the whole issue of racism again. You know what I mean? And they did that piece, but again too the Republican that's running for Congress, I guess, in Washington, state Washington, also used the same situation. There was an ad that he was pushing about a black fella that was incarcerated, had the uniform on and whatever. Again, these are things that we should be concerned about, especially today. We just went through, quote, an educational piece through a guy named Steve Law, who had basically did about 5 articles in the Tribune talking about the Klans. Remember that one?
Yeah.
I mean, I thought that was open. That was really
Dynamite,
open.
dynamite.
And so that brings up memories about that whole peace aspect of it. That was a big business back in the days when they put that piece together. But the fact of the matter is that Oregon and Portland especially was at the front of the line on the whole issue with the Klan thing. See, and so race is still an issue on the issue aspect there. Okay, so we got about another minute. We spent, like I said, we did this piece, but in all due respect, what we're going to do is that this next round, we will have had the voters pamphlet and also the endorsements.
Yeah.
So the next show we get together on, we'll do that. But I think we'll probably do an hour each on that piece. Okay, give you an hour, get Posey an hour, and then we'll go through that way. Okay.
All right.
Good job. Okay. This is community television, folks. You've had it at the beginning when you get your ballot. Like I said, when you get your voters pamphlet, please open it up, please, and start looking at it. They've got issues in there and they've got solutions. There's a whole bunch of write-up and stuff. And be prepared to look at the show a couple weeks from now, and you'll be able to check that out. John, thank you very much. We're going on, and we'll get Mr. Posey to come on over here. Mr. Posey? Mr. James Posey, will you please come on up here, sir? Okay, why don't you get on? Why don't you go on and give Posey the seat here, and then he'll come up in here and... Thank you very much. Walk around that way. There you go, buddy. Thank you very much. Okay, good. You can sit around there, John. Come on, Jane.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, come on. Sure. Good. Thank you. Appreciate that. How goes it, Jane?
I'm doing good.
How's the family?
Family's
Doing
wonderful.
fine? Doing fine?
Wonderful. I got a beautiful family.
I noticed that. Saying those daughters are educated. You got a master's and this, that, and the
How
other.
you know that? That's all on Facebook and stuff?
Yeah, I check you out. I keep my eye on you.
Yeah,
You know,
good.
and he's a writer in his own right. He's got a lane that I'm very familiar with. I think I like this lane. I really do. I like that lane. I said,
like that lane?
if I reincarnate on this next round, I'm going to law school. You see? But that's a whole different ball game.
That is a whole different
But
ball.
here we are today, and right up front with you. I appreciate the fact that you're here today, and it's going to be very, very important to educate the voting public today.
Sure.
They're so confused. I mean, they're confused in all those things. They got this medium right here.
Sure.
They've got newspapers of their own rights, and unless you can operate this thing, you really don't have really access. It's confusing, so a lot of people just throw it away, and they use it as a fun piece. Young folks are they're not looking at the political piece and media and stuff like that.
Sure.
And whatever. And so it's a very important piece now. And there are certain things within our lifestyle and our way of life. We don't have to draft anymore. We came up during that particular time, and we joined forces as opposed to quote,
Sure.
going to Canada and stuff like that. But that was a small minority.
Sure,
But
sure.
we had that within the system. We don't have that in the system anymore. So a lot of folks are really being left out. So that's another reason why I wanted to make sure that Mr. Posey is here. We're transitioning. The Korean vet is not around anymore as many as it used to be. Now it's the Vietnam vet. Then the next will be the Iraqis and this, that, and the other aspect of it. And James, I think he went to Vietnam peace aspect of it. And so it's a value, and a lot of these folks are basically have transitioned, made their lives and families, and went to school, GI Bill, things of that nature aspect of it. We don't have that within the system anymore. So we got these other medium, and it's there. We have to really understand that's where it's at.
Okay.
So we have to reach out. So I tend to want to. One of the things I'm trying to do is to make sure that we go beyond this whole business of just being left out and then using the old acronym where we're too old. There's no such thing. We got the wisdom. It's a transition. It's a wisdom. It's a wisdom deal, and so we got to share that through our lifetime. We've shared that every generation shared it, if you will. But it's a concern. So now we're sitting up here now, looking at a major election time during this joint in time, and we're all concerned about that piece. We got the Trump on one end on the national deal, then we got the local stuff and this, that, and the other, but we got homelessness, we got all people coming in, people making money, the whole 9 yards. So what do we do? So with that, I've said enough, and and I'd like for you just to just jump in there. And a lot of times you spent quite a bit of time in the Portland area, even though you've reacted, if you will, to state issues aspect of it. But we've got the major city right here,
Yeah.
city of
Yeah.
Portland. So consequently, you have spent quite a bit of time in that endeavor. What's your assessment now? Getting ready here, we're getting ready to get into this election aspect of it. What do you think?
Well, first of all, Bruce, let me say thank you for inviting me on your program.
Thank
And
you.
It's good that you got a little variety of, people from different backgrounds, et cetera, et cetera. And I was just listening to you guys talk, and I said, my, things have really changed, because you had all this discussion about guns, and you had discussion about Democrats versus Republicans, and I'm convinced that you might need to broaden your program, because some of the dialogue, some of the discussion we had about women's and guns and what a Democrat really is versus what a perception
Well, that's
is.
why
of
you're
it.
here.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
See,
Because
well-
young people, if you want to attract people to your program, young people in many ways will take offense to the fact that we tag women as the ones that only cook and the men are the one
Yeah,
go shoot.
yeah.
So they would take offense to that. But I'm just saying to you, things have changed drastically in terms of people's perception about how women do things versus what men do things. And yeah, I mean, you come from the old school, I remember on Christmas morning, my granddaddy get up, we go squirrel hunting, throw it on the table. Well, they ain't hunting squirrels quite the way they were.
You look like a squirrel.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying. Yeah.
Oh, you hear the
I'm,
nerd.
I'm just watching you talk
no,
about.
you hear the nerd. You look like a squirrel.
No, I'm just saying.
No,
women,
I hear
some of these women, talking about women and abortion
Yeah,
and
oh,
so
yeah.
forth.
That's
and,
their lane.
No, wait a minute.
It's a woman's
It's a
lane.
man. It's a. I don't know if you heard that song. What's James Brown say? It's a man's world.
Oh, really?
It would be nothing
James-
without a woman or a girl.
James can't defend himself right now.
Okay. Well, I just
Don't
want
bring
you to
James.
understand.
But you're here.
These are all interrelated, and
Okay, yeah, sure.
when we talk about abortion and so forth, this is serious business. That's why when we talk about women having the ability to have an abortion, it affects their ability to be breadwinners, vice versa, and then that folds over into the welfare system. They think all black people are on welfare. People from I'm talking. You know what I'm talking about? They think we having these babies because we want to be on the system and so forth. And I was listening to John.
I got you.
Listen
Yeah,
to John
sure.
talk a little bit about the Democratic Party infested with this social. I don't know what you call
Yeah.
it, social whatever it is, but it was news to me to know that.
Which is his lane.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying.
yeah, I
He's just
understand.
sharing-
I was
sharing his
just saying
thoughts.
it was news to me because and what really struck out when having the conversation with him that these Democrats, these socialist Democrats don't believe in economics and holding business and so forth. That was news to me because I'm a Democrat or have been a Democrat, and I'm number one on top of my list is economics, the ability
Yeah, I know that.
to own property, the ability to be a part of the capitalistic system, and so that was very interesting to hear him talk about that in that way.
Sure.
Because the conservative, even though from a gun ownership standpoint, I don't know what a person would do with an AR-15 in their house. Because when I was in Vietnam, I carried the M15, the M14 and M1s, back in early, and I could shoot some VCs with them things, but I don't see nothing around here that I need a automatic or, as they say.
But that was that generation, though.
Yeah,
at
well,
that
I'm
time.
just saying though, even today, what can you shoot with an AR-15? And, he just mentioned that a shotgun is for home defense. Is all you really need. So what does a society need with AR-15s? Is the question. What I mean?
Well, we need elected officials who have resumes.
Well, yeah.
That's
Now
what-
I agree with
that's
you
what-
on that.
That's what we need. That's what we're trying to do.
I agree with you
So
on
what do
that.
you think about the Joanne Hardesty, the city of Portland?
Oh man,
We got an election.
you really want to touch a
I want
nerve.
to meet.
You really
I
want
wants
to.
to meet.
You really want to
I
get on
wants
into
to
that,
meet.
don't you?
I wants to meet.
well-
Bottom line, we do have. Well, James, you've spent many years. And trust me, folks. I want you to understand. This guy has spent time here within the city of Portland.
Yeah,
Multnomah
yeah,
County.
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know the politics of it
Yeah,
all, right?
yeah,
And you know the needs, if you
Yeah,
will.
yeah.
And like you said, when you mention the economics aspect of it,
Sure.
that's a lot of
Sure.
times that's something that's pushed back. And the only thing, a lot of times, in all due respect, black folks only recognize the race piece, and we want to talk about race and this, that,
Well,
and the other, but no one talks about that.
Well, you know,
Let's talk about that. Let's talk
I
about
think
that
that in terms of Joanne and the endorsements, the Oregonian
Councilman, councilperson Joanne, yeah, city commissioner Joanne Hardesty. She's a sitting position, and that's a,
Wait.
that's a-
I'm just talking about the endorsements
Oh,
that the
the
Oregonian
the endorsement.
gave on the candidates and the
okay.
measures
Oh,
and so
good,
forth.
thank you.
And I said that in terms of them endorsing Renee,
yes,
they nailed the situation with Joanne. I think at one point in time, the Willamette Week or one of the other papers endorsed Joanne.
Yes, that's
but they
right.
came back around and said, well, she was not able to make the transition from an activist to a city commissioner, politician,
Okay.
governing person. They nailed the problem with Joanne. And,
Okay.
you know, I was one of the original supporters of Joanne.
Right.
But and one of the things that was a great attribute for her, as far as I'm concerned, was her ability to challenge the police.
okay.
But she went overboard. She overshot the runway. She could not convert back to a person who could manage this city and have a balance in her approach to dealing with public policy.
But what about the Alabama Ministerial Alliance? They're the one that hired her to give her that position to talk to the old
You're
issue
going back
of
in old.
police.
You're going back. You know. You know
But
how
that's
these
what she
people
was
do.
working for.
Yeah, well, she worked for Oregon Action. She was a politician in the state legislature. All those
County
things.
chair, that's how she started, really, with the county chair. She had the job,
Yeah, but
remember?
she working with somebody. She was not an elected official back then. So at the end of the day, Joanne was a person who had the ability to challenge the system, just like me and
Right.
you. You know, I
Right,
mean,
right,
so
right, right,
I appreciated that. But when she got in the job, it became a different thing. She started being a control freak. She started exhibiting the same sort of narcissistic behavior that a lot of people do once they get a little power in their grips and so forth. And she leaned on a base that was basically nonprofit as opposed to business. None of these people ever had a business.
Well, we had two black women running for office, and one of which, Loretta Smith, was one. What if Loretta had
Neither
gotten
one
the
of
job?
them. Neither one of them had
Really?
any business sense whatsoever. And it's interesting to watch them once they get into a position where they have to defend upon their own skills. They're not going on the public. I want to call these things. What do you call these things up here? Once they get on them things, they don't have the ability to understand that they're the people in the private sector. They're based on. That's what they call them entrepreneur. They're taking risks. They're doing things that really they have to be creative about how their income. And of course, once you get on there, now Joanne, she's got a $200,000 a year job. She'd be fighting like hell to keep that, because if she had to get on the outside, she had to be an entrepreneur, a business owner, to net $200,000 a year. She'd have to work her ass off. Excuse my friends. I know. I can't be talking about that. But at the end of the day, I supported her, but she's one-sided.
So you think Renee can do the
I
job?
don't really know whether Renee. He seems to have been a business person. That's one.
He's a
good
lawyer.
thing.
You gotta
yeah,
get a
he's
law
he's
degree.
as you say, he has a resume.
Yeah, he has a resume.
And
That's somewhat-
they.
But resume for the issues is something that.
Well,
do you think
yeah.
he
Well,
has?
he was a business person. I'll
Okay.
take that.
Okay,
I'll take a
good.
business
That's
person
good.
because you're able
amazing.
to write your signature on the front of the check instead of the back of the check, which means you have some responsibility. You understand the taxes. You understand the ability to create a business model and market, et cetera, et cetera. These people will get in office. What they do is surround themselves with people who know something about the bureaucracy, and that's how they become successful. But if you go in there with a slim resume, you just you're winging it, as they say, and many people are winging it in office. And she's not the only one, by the way.
Okay,
you know,
yeah,
she's
the
not
other-
the only one.
yeah,
You had
yeah,
a
yeah.
few other that went in. That woman who was I forget her name.
But what about the mayor? I mean, since you brought it up.
Well,
I mean,
you know,
he needs a resume. So, but I mean,
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
OJ10 right now. He basically
No,
got in.
he was up to state. He was a treasurer or something up there.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the city of Portland.
Yeah, I understand, but I'm saying you trying to use those relevant skills. You're trying to make those skills transferable to the
Okay,
job,
all right,
and he
all right.
couldn't.
That's fair.
But the thing about it is this system of buddy hiring buddy.
Yeah.
His chief in the Bureau of Office Budget and Management didn't have a clue. He was some sort of social activist out here and took a job because
That's the mayor's
guy up there in the Office of Budget and Management. And so I can just tell you, you and I couldn't do that. You know, we don't have that ability to have those relationships where somebody can appoint you and then you do OJT while you're on the job, screw up the whole city, by the way, make whole big mistakes. You know, and one of those jobs where you have that kind of authority, all you got to do is screw up one thing, and then you throw everything out of whack. And then, of course, we're
that's where we are now.
Yeah, that's where we are right now. So the whole city. That's why I'm.
So Renee might be a good.
Well, we don't know. You know, I'm supporting him because I think we've given Joanne. She, like I told you, she's had one bite of the apple. She wasn't able to, in my opinion.
That's fair.
She wasn't, in my opinion. You know, and a lot of people. I'm talking about a lot of black people.
Yeah.
A lot of black people didn't like the fact that I supported Joanne because, you know, I mean, she was not embedded in this whole social system that black people have about.
Well, let's talk about the reorganization piece aspect of it.
Well,
boy, I tell you that's something. From a lay standpoint.
Again, people should read that Oregonian endorsement. It told the story very clearly. You know, and as I said to you in the previous programs, black people are not voting at the same level that they should be voting without all that stuff. So when they add all that ranked choice voting and all the other shenanigans about shifting parts of the vote to this and that, then people will be confused, and they more than likely will see that as a way of voter suppression. Maybe it's not intended to be, but because of the complexity of what they're proposing, people will get that thing and say, man, I'm not going to try to fill that out. I don't even. And the other thing that's a clue to that is in your voter guide.
Yeah.
In your voter guide, how do they identify what you're voting for in that voter guide with all those various aspects of that? If you're reading your voter guide and try to make a determination on what to vote, you would throw your hands up and you're just going to say, man, I'm not even going to do it. I'm going to throw this in the trash can.
But those are professionally done, as you know.
What's professional?
As far as those comments.
The voter guide?
Yeah, pro or con.
I don't care. Jesus couldn't put enough language in there to make it. Oh, yeah, they're professionally done. But at the end of the day, you know, and I complained about it, and I tried to legally challenge that. And, of course, the judge that made the decision to put this on the ballot, he was confused. If you go back and listen to the hearing in which I complained about the voter's guide and how they put that language together.
I saw
you saw
comment.
that.
I saw your comment. But the thing that got me from that, I saw your response aspect of it. But the fact of the matter is that, was it 22 people?
No, I think it was 20.
20.
Yeah,
but 20, you got 20 people,
something like that.
And all those people were selected. The criteria for selection was made by the city council. Man, give me a break. What's up?
Well,
now
listen to me.
They basically said they picked up representation for the entire city, and they appointed these people.
Well, listen. Wait, man. Why would you not think if they can screw up the city as bad as they have, they can choose somebody to make a decision about how we run the
that's
city?
what we have, though.
Yeah, that's what we got.
Now we're trying to change. You do accept the fact we need change.
Oh, I definitely do that.
We need change.
But listen to me, it doesn't take a rocket science to figure we need somebody to manage a city with this size budgets in the billions. You don't have novice people coming in off the street.
I agree.
You don't have anybody. You don't take a brain. You don't take a person out there changing tires to do a brain operation on your brain. So they have got people there who have no skill sets whatsoever trying to run this city. You understand what I'm saying? And they're relying on these years and years of bureaucrats within the city government to actually save their butts.
Yeah.
And then you got the issue of them operating in silos. They're not talking to one another, and they're not explaining to one another. They're not even working with the county and the state in the ways. There's so much friction between the state, the county and the city. Yeah. You know what I mean? Then you throw Metro in there.
Right now, in fact, I'm glad you brought that piece up. Now I guess the mayor now he's going to put together a couple of about 2 or 3 500 units for homeless now. Did you see that piece?
Well, yeah, All I say is that they letting the dollar short. They letting the dollar short.
Where are they going to go? Where are they going to place them?
They're gonna put it in the hood. Yeah. Hey, they're gonna put it in the hood, the place of least resistance.
my
Hey,
God.
they're gonna put it in the
God.
place where the people were going to not holler, the scream the loudest. Just look at our neighborhood here. Look at Northeast Portland.
Oh, yeah.
All the substance abuse operations are laid out here, and I'm not mad at the fact that they got good substance abuse places, but you ain't gonna see them in Lake Oswego or Lake No Negro. Or Beaverton or Hillsdale. They're going to put them in the place where the constituency won't holler and scream and
Not in my
complain about it.
backyard
Not in
type
your
thing.
backyard. You
Yeah,
know,
that
you
type-
try
that
to put
type
that
of-
out there where them people up there, go over there by Nike campus and try to put something out there that looks like a
Yeah, but
treatment
for the
center.
city of Portland, though, see, he's the mayor of the city of Portland.
Yeah,
and the
yeah,
county.
well,
Then you got the county. With
yeah,
that.
you got the county.
County
Well,
in that
you know,
aspect of it.
you
Then you got the whole issue with the county chair. I mean, you got
Yeah,
three
yeah,
people
you-
running.
you-
You got 3 or 4 people running for chairman. These are folks who are already chairman of their respective districts.
Yeah.
And they have problems as
Yeah,
far as
yeah.
solving. So
Yeah,
now
yeah.
we're gonna be getting one of those individuals
Yeah.
to basically to be the chair.
Yeah, well, I think the county is trying to stay in their lane, but at the end of the day, they control like everybody else
You
by
got,
the
two,
money.
you got two major persons that are running.
yeah.
You got Peterson, and you got what's the other lady's name?
Starts with an M. I forget what her name. Meridian or
Meridian, yeah, Meridian, yeah, something
whatever.
like
her
that.
name
Yeah,
is.
yeah, yeah.
But
One's more of a people-oriented person as opposed to the other. Understand one of them.
I don't take
know
any
them both.
value. I don't take any value in that. I'm always looking at the outcomes, what they're able to produce.
but I'm just-
all that pretty stuff, I don't want to hear about all that. I want to know
I'm just
what.
sharing with that's all.
I
There's
don't-
no resume.
That's what I'm saying to you. If it's all that pretty stuff about this and that and all that
Education and
comma,
things
all
of that
that
nature.
that doesn't.
Okay.
You can buy education even.
Talk to
Most
the
of these
issues
people,
and solutions.
Yeah, most of these people that
Then
are
they can
so-called
buy, yeah.
have a resume.
Yes.
Joanne said she went to college, and they didn't come to find out she probably didn't graduate from high school. She got a GED. They put that on her.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Well, I must admit, I did have her on the show.
Yeah.
She brought a transcript here.
That was her DD 214.
No, and the DD 214, both. I had both.
What do you have? Your DD 214 and a transcript for her college?
I had, no, high school.
High school. Oh, high school. Oh, yeah. My
make
my
sure.
high
She
school.
graduated from
But
high
what about? She said her community college.
I didn't go that far.
I'm not gonna get into that.
I didn't even know about the MOS thing.
You did the MOS?
I mean, I'm just checking out, but I never checked
Well,
into it.
if you look at the MOS, she probably was a secretary. She probably ran a typewriter. That was her main instrument in the military, was a typewriter. Which is, I don't want to cast no aspersions on people that do administrative stuff. But at the end of the day, just don't lie like your
She's
boy.
a veteran, yeah, she's a
Just don't
veteran.
lie like your boy Herschel Walker. With all these babies he's got all over the place, and them people talking about he's a Christian. What Christian do?
Yeah, but that's politics. His lane was sports, and so constantly he had name from everywhere because he was running all over the place.
Don't lie, Bruce.
Yeah, but
Every time we got this whole thing that we got going here
No, I'm not
about these
agreeing,
lines,
but they
brothers.
got him out this other lane.
Brother, I don't care. I don't care about what lane. I don't care what lane you in. Don't lie, and people can catch you on it now. They got these phones. They got you. You can't lie like that anymore. I don't want anybody in office who lie like that.
But let's also admit the fact that during election time,
I don't
you
care.
can say anything you want to say.
No.
You can put any ad you want out there, and there would nothing
Listen,
said until after the deal.
Listen. Our whole society is based upon integrity, the rule of law, and all
Are you
that other stuff.
suggesting to me that during an election time it's all integrity?
To me, it is, because if I find out you lying, you ain't getting my vote.
You write it up.
I'm not getting my
agree
vote,
with
you know.
My point is that, but in most cases right now, that's when we're trying to transition. We want change.
I don't, change to what? I don't want to change to another liar.
Change to focusing on the issue and solutions. We're not doing that.
No, I agree
doing
with
the
you,
election
Bruce.
process.
But you listen. Black Lives Matter. Character matters.
Okay.
Character matters. And if you don't get somebody who tells the truth, who, regardless of what the circumstances is, I'm not interested in having conversation with them, because they will backdoor you, they will mislead you, and they will do anything to retain power or be in office. I'm not interested in that. That's the thing with Joanne. She would tell the truth. maybe she wouldn't have all these people breathing down her neck.
Okay.
You know, the way she is. Maybe she'd had a better chance of that. It should be absolutely unequivocally clear that you're a truthful person in order to be in office.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
If you were in the military and you there, you know, you've been in the military, you know, you tell a lie, you show up for the you got a Article 15, you
Shows up.
know.
Oh, yeah.
No, it's more important than that. More important, you got other people's lives
Oh,
depending
yeah.
on
Oh,
you.
very much so.
Same way as the city government. We got other people's lives depending on you.
Well, you know, now we don't have a draft to kind of bring up the young folks in the environment that we were in.
Well, truthfully, if I didn't go to the military, I'd probably be in jail.
Yeah.
I'd be in the
But
penitentiary.
a lot of folks would have.
A lot of people,
Yeah.
but I'm talking about especially young black people.
Sure.
As I told people, you saw in my presentation to you,
Right. That's right.
I graduated from high school in 1964. Guess what the mood was in the country about hiring black people in the
Oh, yeah.
unions
Oh, I
in
can
1964?
imagine that.
I was an apprentice printer. They would not let black people in the unions in 1964. I spent all my high school years doing well in school, but when it came time to get a job in the most highest paying area of my profession, the apprenticeship in that area, they wouldn't let me in. So that's why I went into the military.
Yeah. That's right.
You understand what I
That's
mean?
right. That's
Trying to
right.
escape, and all my partners want me to do drugs and hang out and do
Yeah,
all that other
yeah,
stuff the
yeah,
kids do when they're young. But I chose
But
to
things
go.
have changed somewhat, do haven't they?
In what way?
Well, one, you're here.
Well, I'm by the grace of God.
Okay, well, you're here.
Yeah, I'm here by the grace of God.
Okay, you're here.
That's
You know
that's the
what I
only
mean?
reason
And-
I took a path that was, I had good grandparents. And I had good parents. My parents were married 68 years. I had till they,
You got
I had a good
James, that's why you're sitting here. No due respect. That's why we're trying to share, if you will,
Yeah.
with a lot of these young folks right now, to date. You know what I mean? A lot of them don't have any directions. You know what I mean? And a lot of them don't have fathers. A lot of them don't have mothers.
Listen to me.
But that
You know,
military
listen to
was
me.
good stuff.
Listen to me. We I'm gonna tell you straight up on this program. We're in for a big problem in our community today because we have a 50% achievement gap in the public school system.
Now you're talking. Are you speaking?
I'm talking
black
about
folks,
I'm
white
talking about
folks?
black folk.
Okay.
50% achievement gap. The gap between white and black in their ability to
Wow.
perform. That achievement gap is going to come home in the next 15, 20 years. When people can't write, when black kids can't fill out an application, they can't spell the name of the job they're trying to go. They can't do the math to be able to calculate angles on a project, or they can't write. You're always talking about I can write.
Yeah.
Writing is the
new key.
if you can't
Key.
write.
Yeah.
Listen to me. If you can't write or read any application that you have, any legal document you have, trying to buy a house, you're gonna get snookered. You're gonna get So the whole education system, if you have a 50% achievement gap in reading, writing, and arithmetic, what you're doing is there's a pathway to destruction in the penitentiary.
Yeah.
We're doing right now. No one is saying anything about there's not a mumbling
What
word.
about Matt Prophet when he was superintendent of Portland Public Schools? Military too, by the way. He had a
Listen,
military background.
but you understand this? Matt was they hired Matt. This is a typical thing that white people do. They find one black person, put him at the top when the whole system is rotten underneath them. Matt had to fight everybody and his
but
mother.
he had 10 years there.
Yeah, but
he achieved. They bring in his name back.
But they had 100 years of racist people running that school district that Matt couldn't deal with. They probably killed him, by the way. I don't want you to understand, when you could put black people at the top of positions like that and the whole structure of the system is filled with racist people, they undermine everything you do. He might be a figurehead there, he might have the job, but the real power in the classrooms, at the superintendents, the vice principals, and all of those people who really are on the ground, we call it boots on the ground.
Right,
So those who are interfacing with our kids,
right.
they're telling the kids, well, you're never going to be anything. They may not saying that overtly, but they're telling them kids, you're only going to be a colored boy in their perspective. So if you got all those teachers been in there, listen to me, got all those teachers there who, what's the name of that retirement system that the county has and the state has? PERS, yeah. All they're trying to do is hang on to their PERS. They could give a flying what about those black kids and those things. And those black kids come to to.
So what do we do about that?
Well, I'll tell you what we do. What we need to do is have more people of color, black people come from, I don't care where you got to get them, bring them from Georgia, bring them from bring them here and make sure that they get paid based upon the job that they got to do.
Okay.
You know, when you're military and you're a specialist and you got something going,
Oh, yeah.
you know, your MOS,
Yeah.
your MOS was paid differently
done
from the
that,
people who are just out
Yeah.
there washing
Yeah,
dishes.
that's true.
Your MOS is paid
Yeah,
different,
right.
right?
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah. Oh,
So
yeah.
you pay people who come in here who will help turn this system around, give those kids who are most in need a educational thing that will get them on track to be successful citizens.
Okay, we got a school board, right?
Yeah, we do.
You got two. I mean, you got two or three.
Got
blacks.
two black-
You got two
yeah,
blacks that
yeah.
are on the school board right
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
I mean, that's where it sits. Right?
Yeah. But okay, but I want you to understand, Bruce.
Go ahead.
I just said this to you. You can't turn a system around that's been
Overnight, that's
rotten for 60 years with two new school board people. They have it's just like having a battleship out there in the middle of the ocean and you want to make a U-turn. Yeah, it ain't gonna happen.
Well, it's
You're
been-
gonna have
it's
to.
been-
You're gonna have to make that turn. You're gonna have to put that radius in there, and it's gonna take you time to move that radius around to get that ship turned the other way.
Mm-hmm.
I'm using these military analogies because you understand that's what's going on with our system.
What about Ron Herndon, another black male, who's a major contributor, as so indicated. He started
he
the
was a
Black
good
Youth
guy.
Front.
Listen,
he focused on education, right?
Listen. There's,
We got about 2 minutes.
black people are good at raising hell and walking away. I'm gonna say that again.
Okay.
Black people are good at raising hell and walking away.
Okay.
We need to have a consistent pressure on this system over time in order to address these multiple issues that's devastated the black community.
Mm-hmm.
We need to have a consistent long-term pressure on the system for things to change. Otherwise, it's not going to change. And I said this to you before. The president was here. There are all these politicians running up and kissing, taking pictures with the president. But most of the misery of black people in Oregon has come under the leadership of Democrats. We know damn well Republicans is going to kill us, but we want to submit to the mediocrity of Democrats. We're lucky to get a bone. We're happy to grin and shuckle and dance when Democrats pat us on the head, give us a little token position. But at the end of the day, things are still miserable for black people. All these laws that have the Measure 11 laws, where our young people are in jail right now for smoking weed and destroying their whole families. No one has rectified that situation. All these young kids that are in jail in the penitentiary right now, their whole families are devastated. All you need a black person to do is get one misdemeanor, actually one felony on their record. It's a death sentence for them economically.
Okay.
Okay.
Hey, this has been great, fantastic, good entree. I expect you here back in a couple of weeks, and we're going to jump right into the election as far as the endorsements and the ballot measures that are on the table, and it's going to be a pleasure having you on, sir.
Thank you very much
Thank
for
you
letting
very
me
much,
do
Mr.
this.
Posey. Appreciate that
Appreciate
very
it.
much. Good comments. Appreciate
Okay.
it very much, and I'm sure that the voting person like it. Folks, we'll see you next week. You'll probably see the same show, so tell your friends about it so they can see it. Have a good one. Take care.
All right.
Good job. What do you think?
I don't know. You tell me.
Good job, Turkey. I'm gonna bring that master sergeant.